The night sky over Earth was calm, filled with stars that had always seemed so far and untouchable. Yet on this night, something unusual happened. In the control room of an international space observatory, alarms began to ring. Screens flashed with strange signals that no one had ever seen before. At first, scientists thought it was an error, maybe a malfunction in the satellite systems. But soon, all stations across the world reported the same thing. A massive object was entering the solar system, larger than anything humanity had ever tracked before. The scientists watched as the object moved with purpose, slowing down near the orbit of Jupiter. It was not a rock or a comet. It was a fleet. A fleet of ships. The Empire had arrived. For years, people had believed humans were alone. Some had dreamed of aliens, some had feared them, but no one expected an empire to come from the stars with ships the size of floating cities. They moved in formation, thousands of them, glowing like blades in the darkness of space. The leaders of Earth were called into emergency meetings. Every government went on high alert. The United Nations, military generals, presidents, and prime ministers all gathered to discuss what was coming. Fear filled the room as live images from satellites showed the giant ships approaching Earth's orbit. One leader whispered, "This is the end of us." The Empire did not wait. A broadcast was sent directly into Earth's networks. The image of an alien commander filled every screen on the planet. He had a tall crown of bone-like horns and eyes that glowed with cruel arrogance. His voice was sharp, cold, and carried a weight of absolute authority. "People of Earth," he said, "you now belong to the Empire. Surrender your planet and your resources. Kneel, and you may live as slaves. Resist, and your world will burn." Cities across the globe fell into silence. People gathered in front of televisions and phones, watching in horror. Children cried as parents tried to stay calm. Soldiers clenched their fists. For a moment, humanity felt small and powerless. The invaders were advanced, confident, unstoppable. But inside a hidden base deep below the mountains, an old general watched the broadcast with steady eyes. He was not afraid. His voice was calm as he spoke to his staff. "They think we are weak," he said. "They think we are helpless. They are wrong." Unknown to most of the world, Earth had been preparing for years. Strange technology had been found decades ago, buried in secret crash sites, fragments from ships that did not belong to this planet. Scientists had studied it in silence, governments had hidden it, and engineers had used it to build something extraordinary. Earth had a weapon, one so powerful that even the Empire would not expect it. The general gave an order, and deep underground, machines began to awaken. The countdown started. Meanwhile, above the clouds, the Empire's warships descended. They broke through the atmosphere like burning stars, their shadows covering entire cities. The ground shook as their engines roared. People screamed, thinking this was the end. Alien soldiers prepared to land, expecting no resistance. In their arrogance, they believed Earth would fall without a fight. The first wave of Empire ships hovered in the sky, ready to strike. But then something strange happened. Lights flickered across Earth's hidden defense network. Huge towers that no civilian had ever seen before began to rise from the ground, camouflaged until this very moment. On every continent, from deserts to oceans, hidden weapons appeared, glowing with a deadly energy. The general's voice echoed through the command center. "Activate the grid." The countdown reached 0. A hum filled the air, like the Earth itself was waking from a long sleep. The alien commander frowned on his flagship, sensing something he did not understand. Then, in a flash brighter than the sun, Earth's first strike began. The sky lit up with beams of impossible energy, cutting through the dark clouds. The first Empire ships were caught in the blast. To the eyes of the invaders, it was unthinkable. Their shields cracked, their armor melted, their warships exploded in fire. In seconds, an entire squadron of the Empire's fleet was gone. Civilians stared from the ground in disbelief. The people who thought they were doomed now saw hope. For the first time, the Empire hesitated. The alien commander roared in rage. Impossible! These primitives cannot do this. But Earth had done it. And this was only the beginning. The sky over Earth was still glowing from the destruction of the first Empire ships, but the world knew this was only the beginning. The surviving alien fleet hovered above the planet, massive and menacing, their engines humming like thunder waiting to strike. Governments scrambled to respond, but the general in the hidden command center remained calm. He studied the enemy movements on his screens, watching the alien ships adjust their formation. They were preparing for retaliation. Then, without warning, the Empire sent a broadcast to every device on Earth. The image of the alien commander appeared again, more terrifying than before. His face was calm but filled with fury. "Humans," he said, "you have destroyed my scouts. Do not think this will save you. Surrender now, and your destruction will be delayed. Resist, and your world will be wiped from the stars." Across the planet, people froze. The words were simple, but the meaning was clear. The Empire had come to conquer, and their patience had ended. Yet in the underground command center, the old general did not flinch. He looked at his team and said, "They are angry because they underestimated us. Good. That is exactly what we need." Meanwhile, the alien ships began to move in closer, descending toward major cities. The first wave targeted New York, London, Tokyo, and Beijing. From the ground, the people could see the enormous warships blotting out the sun. Panic spread through the streets. Airplanes were grounded, trains halted, and families ran to shelters. The Empire expected humanity to collapse in fear, but something unexpected happened. In every corner of the globe, ordinary humans began to act. Soldiers manned positions, volunteers helped evacuate civilians, and engineers rushed to the hidden weapon facilities. In secret bases, scientists monitored the alien signals, trying to understand the enemy's technology. Hackers across the world worked tirelessly to disrupt the invaders' communication systems. The Empire had assumed humans were simple and weak, but now they were seeing something different. On the Empire flagship, the alien commander frowned. He tapped a control panel, sending orders to his fleet. "Deploy the ground forces," he commanded. "They will kneel before us. Resistance is futile." Alien transports opened, releasing squads of soldiers into the skies. Their landing pods fell like meteors toward Earth's major cities. Yet the humans had prepared. Cities were not defenseless. Hidden energy shields powered by the secret technology activated in milliseconds, stopping the alien pods midair. Some exploded, some were destroyed by directed energy beams from Earth's hidden weapons. People on the ground stared in awe, realizing that their planet was fighting back. In the command center, the general smiled. "They think they are superior," he said. "But we have learned, adapted, and built what they cannot imagine." The Empire, for all its power, had not considered human creativity and resilience. Smaller alien ships tried to flank the cities, but human pilots, using modified fighter jets and captured alien drones, attacked them from every angle. The battle in the skies was chaotic and breathtaking. Lasers streaked across the clouds, explosions lit the night, and alien ships fell one after another. Yet the alien commander was not defeated. His eyes burned with rage, and he ordered a new tactic. Massive energy beams, capable of leveling entire cities, targeted Earth's population centers. Buildings shook, fires erupted, and chaos reigned in the streets. Civilians screamed, but emergency teams and volunteers worked tirelessly to rescue those trapped in destruction. Underground shelters saved thousands of lives, and the humans' counterattacks continued without pause. The alien commander could not understand it. These humans, they are not surrendering. They fight with everything they have. "How is this possible?" he shouted. Back in the command center, the general watched with quiet confidence. "They do not understand the strength of Earth," he said. "We are not just surviving. We are fighting back. And we will win." Across the globe, news spread of Earth's first victories. The destroyed alien scouts, the failed landings, and the human resistance inspired hope. Ordinary people became heroes. Pilots shot down enemy ships, engineers repaired weapons mid-battle, and children watched their parents fight with courage they never knew they had. Humanity was united in fear, yes, but also in determination. The Empire's broadcast continued, demanding surrender, but fewer and fewer people listened. Instead, the world prepared for the next wave. The general knew that the Empire would not give up. Their full armada was still above the atmosphere, and the real battle had not yet begun. But he also knew that for the first time in history, humans were no longer powerless. Earth had shown its strength, and the Empire had seen that their arrogance was a mistake. As night fell, the sky was filled with the sounds of distant explosions and the glow of battles raging across cities and oceans. The general turned to his team and said, "Tomorrow, they will strike again. And we will be ready. Humanity is not weak. We will survive, and we will fight back harder than they expect." The world held its breath. The first contact had ended in chaos, but it had also shown something extraordinary. Humans were not just prey for the Empire. They were a force to be reckoned with. And the night was only the beginning. The night over Earth was tense. The first contact had ended, but the humans knew it was only a warning. The Empire's remaining warships hovered above, massive and silent, waiting for the perfect moment to attack again. Satellites showed fleets larger than before, dark shadows moving across the upper atmosphere. People in cities stayed in shelters, watching the skies. Fear and hope mixed in every heart. In the underground command center, the general studied the enemy formation. His eyes were steady. He knew the Empire believed their next strike would crush humanity. But they were wrong. "They have power, yes," he said to his officers, "but we have Earth itself on our side, and we have learned their weaknesses." Engineers worked frantically to calibrate the hidden weapons, making sure every beam, every pulse, and every missile would strike with deadly accuracy. The countdown had already begun. On the alien flagship, the commander paced. He had underestimated humans before, and this time he would not make the same mistake. He ordered the main fleet to form attack positions. Massive warships aligned, their engines glowing, weapons charging. "This time," he said, "the humans will fall." The first strike was planned carefully. Alien missiles and energy beams would hit Earth's major cities simultaneously, leveling them in minutes. Smaller ships would deploy troops to finish what the beams began. Across the globe, alarms blared. People ran, hid, prayed, and some fought back. The Empire's arrogance was clear. They believed humanity would crumble under fear. But the humans had prepared. Hidden cannons and energy towers powered by alien technology rose from underground facilities. They glowed with light, waiting. As the alien fleet unleashed its first attack, Earth responded instantly. Massive energy beams shot into the sky, colliding with the descending warships. Explosions lit the clouds in fire and sparks. The humans' first strike was precise, targeting the largest and most vulnerable ships. One by one, alien vessels exploded midair. Debris fell into the oceans and deserts, leaving a trail of destruction in the sky. The aliens had never faced anything like it. Shock and confusion spread among the ranks. Smaller ships tried to protect their larger counterparts, but human pilots, flying modified jets and drones, attacked from unexpected angles. The skies were filled with chaos. On the ground, people watched in awe and terror. Streets shook as some cities were damaged, but the defense grids saved millions of lives. Families huddled in shelters, peering through cracks and vents to see the glowing sky above. The old general smiled as he observed the battle. "They think they are invincible," he said. "But they have forgotten one thing. Humans adapt. Humans fight." On the alien flagship, the commander's face twisted in rage. He could not understand how so many ships were destroyed in seconds. He barked orders, but the humans had anticipated his moves. Hackers and engineers disrupted communication between the alien vessels. Some ships collided in the sky, others fell without explanation. Fear began to ripple through the Empire's ranks. Meanwhile, on the surface of Earth, hidden weapons deployed another layer of defense. Energy shields surrounded cities, deflecting incoming blasts. Missile turrets fired in perfect coordination, destroying enemy pods before they could land. For every attack the Empire launched, humans found a way to counter it. Civilians, soldiers, engineers, and pilots all worked together, as if Earth itself was alive and defending its people. The battle raged for hours. Fires burned in the sky, massive explosions shook the oceans, and the glow of human weapons lit the night like a second sun. The Empire had expected easy victory, but they faced something new, a united humanity that refused to be conquered. Finally, the old general gave the command for the decisive strike. A massive energy pulse, amplified by alien technology, was fired at the Empire's flagship. The beam tore through the sky, hitting the command vessel directly. The ship shuddered, alarms blaring. Explosions ripped through its hull. Alien soldiers screamed in panic as control systems failed. The flagship began to fall, dragging smaller ships with it. On Earth, people watched in disbelief. Against all odds, the Empire's most powerful ship was destroyed. The alien commander tried to retreat, but it was too late. The humans had struck first and struck hard. The first strike had shown the true power of Earth. It was not just weapons, it was determination, courage, and unity that made humanity strong. The Empire had underestimated them, and now they would pay the price. Fires raged in the skies above, but humans stood tall. They had survived the impossible and struck the first decisive blow against a galactic empire. In the command center, the general looked at his team. "Remember this," he said. "They came to destroy us, but we showed them what humans can do. The war is far from over, but today, Earth has won the first battle." Across the globe, hope spread. People knew the Empire would return, larger and more furious. But for the first time, humans believed they could fight. They had survived, and they had struck back. The first strike was only the beginning, but it had changed everything. Humanity was no longer prey. Humanity was a force. And the Empire would never forget it. The calm after the first strike was short-lived. The Empire had suffered heavy losses, but its fury had only grown. Across the galaxy, the command signals had called every remaining warship to assemble for a massive retaliation. The alien commander paced aboard his new flagship, eyes burning with anger. "They dared to destroy my fleet," he growled. "They will pay for their defiance." Orders were sent to the entire armada. Thousands of ships aligned over Earth, forming an impenetrable wall of metal and energy. Each ship was bristling with weapons, bigger and more powerful than before. The humans watched the alien fleet on their satellites and knew that this would be the most dangerous moment in history. Panic gripped cities as the warships moved into position. Governments ordered evacuations, but the speed and scale of the enemy's attack made it impossible to save everyone. From the command center underground, the general remained calm. "They are stronger now, yes," he said, "but we have learned. And Earth will fight." Human engineers activated the next layer of defenses, energy shields expanding over major cities, anti-ship turrets aligning to target the largest enemy vessels. Yet even with all this preparation, the Empire struck first. Massive energy beams tore through the sky, leveling forests, cities, and military bases. The ground shook as explosions erupted across continents. Millions of people ran for cover as the first wave of destruction hit. But humanity had grown braver since the first strike. Pilots in jets and human-built fighter drones launched into the skies, attacking alien ships from angles they could not defend. Missile volleys rained down from hidden launchers, destroying alien pods before they could land. Across the world, ordinary citizens helped wherever they could, transporting the injured, repairing damaged defenses, and passing messages between cities. The Empire's soldiers expected obedience and fear, but they found resistance at every turn. On the alien flagship, the commander's face twisted in rage as reports came in. Ships were destroyed, troops were repelled, and signals were scrambled by human hackers. "How can they fight like this?" he demanded. "They are only primitive beings." Yet the human strategy was simple but brilliant. They used speed, surprise, and adaptability to overcome the aliens' superior technology. The battle in the skies was chaotic. Lasers crisscrossed the clouds, explosions lit up cities at night, and alien warships fell one after another. Yet the Empire was relentless. It deployed specialized ships designed to pierce human shields, massive machines with energy cannons capable of wiping out entire blocks in seconds. Earth's defenses were strained. Some cities were damaged, others burned, but humanity refused to surrender. Underground facilities continued to fire weapons, and pilots coordinated strikes across continents. The aliens' confidence began to waver. They expected humans to crumble under fear, but they discovered something they had never counted on: determination. Humans did not fight for conquest or glory. They fought for survival, for home, for each other. On the ground, soldiers and civilians alike witnessed miracles. A group of engineers redirected alien energy beams, using them to destroy enemy landing pods. Ordinary trucks, modified into mobile turrets, intercepted alien attacks in unexpected ways. Children watched from shelters as heroes fought above them, knowing that the adults around them would risk everything to protect the planet. The general smiled as he saw the coordination. "They think they have power," he said, "but they do not understand humanity. They do not understand courage." The Empire, for the first time, experienced real fear. Ships collided midair, command signals failed, and soldiers were left stranded in orbit. The human counterattacks were unpredictable, relentless, and precise. Thousands of alien troops who had believed they would rule Earth instead found themselves fighting for survival. Hours passed, and the battle showed no signs of ending. The Empire unleashed its most powerful weapon yet, a planet-wide orbital bombardment, energy beams capable of erasing entire cities in minutes. Fires erupted across continents, smoke covered the skies, and chaos threatened to overwhelm humanity. But the humans had one last advantage. Hidden beneath the surface of the Earth, massive cannons powered by alien technology fired directly at the enemy fleet. The beams struck the largest warships, tearing through hulls and engines. Ships exploded in fireballs visible from space. The alien commander could not comprehend the scale of the human response. Desperation replaced anger in his eyes as he realized that, for the first time, the Empire was losing control. The humans had adapted, fought back, and taken the initiative. The tide of battle slowly turned. Alien ships that had seemed unstoppable were falling one by one. Pilots and soldiers celebrated small victories, knowing that every destroyed enemy vessel brought hope to their cities. The general gave one final order: focus on their flagship. If we can destroy their command, the rest will retreat. With a coordinated strike, humans targeted the Empire's command vessel. Explosions rippled across its hull. Fires spread, engines failed, and the flagship began to fall from orbit. The Empire's fleet, leaderless and confused, started to retreat. Earth had survived the onslaught. Though damage was done, and many lives were lost, humanity had proven something extraordinary. They could stand against the mightiest force in the galaxy. Across the planet, people emerged from shelters, staring at the night sky filled with smoke and falling debris. They had survived the Empire's wrath and had fought back. The general turned to his team, pride in his eyes. "They came to destroy us," he said, "but they learned a lesson tonight. Humanity is not weak. Humanity will fight. And we will be ready for what comes next." The Empire's strike had failed, but both sides knew the war was far from over. The skies were quiet now, but the battle for Earth's future had only just begun. The Empire had retreated, but the people of Earth knew this was only temporary. The skies were quiet now, but the hum of preparation filled cities, bases, and hidden facilities. Humanity had survived the first massive attack, but the war was far from over. Across the globe, engineers, soldiers, and civilians worked tirelessly. Factories that had been abandoned for years were reopened, producing weapons, vehicles, and supplies. Scientists studied the debris from destroyed alien ships, analyzing the technology for weaknesses and ways to turn it against the invaders. In underground bunkers, Pilots trained day and night on newly built fighter jets, drones, and hybrid human-alien ships. The general moved through the command center, watching the operations unfold. "The Empire thinks they won," he said to his officers. "But they have only seen our defense. Now they will see our attack." Small teams of humans were sent to capture surviving alien vessels that had crashed on Earth. Engineers worked carefully, reverse engineering weapons and energy systems. Hackers infiltrated alien communication networks, learning their codes and strategies. Each discovery became a new advantage for humanity. On the surface, cities were slowly rebuilding. People returned to their homes, but everyone knew the Empire could return at any moment. Fear remained, but it was now mixed with hope and determination. The world had learned that they could survive, and now they were learning how to fight. In orbit above Earth, human-built starships were launched. They were smaller than the Empire's warships, but fast, agile, and deadly. Pilots flew in coordinated formations, ready to strike at alien ships that remained in orbit. The general watched the first fleet launch and smiled. "They think size makes them powerful," he said. "But skill, courage, and unity are stronger than any armor." The first human strike teams approached the remaining alien vessels. Using speed and clever tactics, they avoided the Empire's larger weapons and targeted weak points discovered from studying the wreckage of the first battle. Explosions lit up the atmosphere as alien ships began to fall, one after another. Meanwhile, on the ground, humans were not idle. Cities became battlegrounds, but also workshops. Engineers converted civilian vehicles into mobile turrets, repair crews rebuilt damaged energy towers, and volunteers transported weapons and supplies under dangerous conditions. Every person became part of the fight. Even farmers and laborers contributed, helping move materials and maintain infrastructure. Humanity was no longer passive. They had become a single, united force. The Empire, for all its arrogance and technology, had never faced such coordinated resistance. On the alien flagship, the commander's frustration grew. Reports showed ships falling and soldiers being captured. "These humans are relentless," he said. "They do not fear. They do not surrender. How can they resist so strongly?" But the humans were not resisting blindly. Every move was planned, every strike calculated. Hackers in hidden facilities continued to disrupt alien communications, sending false signals that caused enemy ships to collide or misfire. Pilots used these disruptions to launch attacks with precision, striking fear into the remaining invaders. Underground facilities fired energy beams into orbit, hitting enemy ships with devastating accuracy. Explosions ripped through alien vessels, sending debris falling toward the oceans and deserts. On Earth, civilians watched the battles in awe. Children peeked from shelters, seeing their parents and neighbors fight with bravery that was almost impossible to imagine. Ordinary people became heroes. Soldiers risked their lives to save civilians. Engineers repaired weapons while under fire. Pilots sacrificed their safety to strike at enemy warships. Across the globe, humanity was unified in a single purpose: survival and victory. The Empire had never faced such a force. They had expected fear, submission, and obedience. Instead, they faced courage, intelligence, and resilience. Each victory, no matter how small, inspired more people to join the effort. Ordinary humans were now capable of extraordinary feats. The general gave the order for the first coordinated human offensive. Starships in orbit would strike at key alien positions while energy cannons on the surface provided cover and destroyed incoming reinforcements. The plan was risky, but humans had learned that they could take risks the aliens could not predict. The battle was fierce. Explosions filled the sky, lasers streaked across clouds, and debris rained down on Earth. Alien ships tried to regroup, but human pilots and weapons anticipated every move. Ships fell like falling stars, their hulls torn apart by energy beams and missiles. The Empire was stunned. Their arrogance had blinded them to the strength of the human spirit. As night fell, the first coordinated offensive ended in victory. Though some ships were lost and casualties occurred, humanity had proven that they could fight back. Not just defend but attack. The general looked over the command center and said, "Today, we are no longer only surviving. Today, we show the Empire that humans can fight, and they will not forget it." Across Earth, hope spread. The people knew the Empire would return with more power, but they also knew that humanity had changed. Humans had risen. Humans had learned. And humans had begun to fight back with all the courage and intelligence they could muster. The war for Earth was far from over, but the first offensive had shown the galaxy one undeniable truth: humanity was not weak. Humanity was unstoppable. The battle for Earth had reached a critical moment. The Empire, shocked by humanity's resilience, regrouped in orbit with a new, larger fleet, determined to crush the planet once and for all. The humans knew that waiting for the next strike could be fatal. The general, watching the enemy movements on his screens, made a decision that would change the course of the war. "If we wait, they will destroy everything," he said. "It is time to strike at their heart." Preparations began immediately. The first human-built starships capable of interstellar combat were launched into orbit. They were smaller and less armored than the Empire's massive warships, but they were fast, agile, and deadly. Pilots trained for years, but now they would face real combat for the first time. Engineers had retrofitted alien technology into the ships, giving them weapons that could pierce even the thickest hulls. Hackers infiltrated enemy systems, sowing confusion and disabling key defenses. Every detail had been planned. The general addressed his team with calm authority. "This is humanity's chance. Strike precisely, strike boldly, and show the Empire that Earth does not fear them." As the human fleet moved into position, the Empire's sensors detected the incoming attack. Alien commanders were furious. "How dare they challenge us in orbit?" one shouted. "We destroyed their cities. We should destroy them now." But the humans were clever. Using speed and stealth, they avoided the Empire's larger weapons, striking smaller but critical targets first. Explosions erupted on enemy ships as missiles and energy pulses hit weak points discovered from analyzing debris of previous battles. The first human strikes sent shockwaves through the alien fleet. Smaller vessels fell, communications were disrupted, and panic began to spread among the invaders. Pilots coordinated attacks with precision, avoiding collisions and enemy fire while targeting command ships and energy generators. Every successful strike gave humans confidence and weakened the Empire's control. On Earth, civilians and soldiers watched the battle unfold on screens. People cheered as alien ships exploded in space, a sign that humanity could fight on equal terms with the Empire. The general observed carefully. "They are panicking," he said. "Now is the moment to hit their command ship." The human fleet focused on the Empire's flagship, the vessel from which orders and strategy flowed. It was massive, heavily armored, and guarded by dozens of smaller warships. Yet the humans were determined. Using coordinated attacks, they distracted the defenders with decoy ships while the main strike force moved directly toward the flagship. Lasers, missiles, and energy pulses tore through enemy formations. Explosions lit the orbit like a second sun. The flagship's shields weakened under the relentless assault. The alien commander watched in disbelief as his carefully arranged fleet crumbled around him. Panic replaced anger as his soldiers failed to follow orders due to the humans' precise strikes and hacking of communication channels. The flagship rocked under repeated hits, fires spreading across its hull. On the surface of Earth, hidden energy cannons added their power, sending concentrated beams into space that struck the enemy flagship directly. The combined human assault was unstoppable. Inside the flagship, chaos reigned. Alien officers shouted orders that were never carried out. Systems failed, weapons malfunctioned, and the soldiers' confidence crumbled. The humans had found a way to fight in space with ingenuity and courage, using every advantage of speed, strategy, and technology. The flagship's hull began to crack. Explosions ripped through its interior, sending debris into orbit. Smaller ships tried to pull away, but without central command, the fleet fell into disarray. The general gave the final order. "All forces, focus on the flagship." End this. In a brilliant display of coordination, human pilots, drones, and energy beams struck simultaneously. The flagship shook violently and finally exploded in a blinding flash of light. Pieces of the massive ship fell toward the Earth, burning as they entered the atmosphere. The Empire's fleet, leaderless and confused, began a chaotic retreat. Pilots abandoned formation, and ships collided in space. The humans had done the impossible. They had struck directly at the heart of the Empire's command and won. Across the planet, cheers erupted as news of the victory spread. People hugged, cried, and celebrated the courage of the soldiers and pilots who had risked everything. The general allowed himself a rare smile. "This is only the beginning," he said. "The Empire will return, but they now know humanity is not to be underestimated. We have shown them what Earth can do." Humanity had changed. No longer were they only defending, they had taken the fight to the enemy. The turning point had come. For the first time, humans had faced the Empire on equal terms and had triumphed. They had proven that courage, intelligence, and unity could overcome even the most powerful foe. The skies above Earth were quiet now, but the war was far from over. Still, the human spirit had been awakened. From this moment, the Empire would know that Earth was not a planet to conquer, it was a planet to fear. And humanity, once underestimated, had begun its rise to power in the galaxy. The Empire had suffered a blow it could not ignore. Its flagship destroyed, its fleet in disarray, and its soldiers demoralized, the invaders had no choice but to retreat. The humans had struck directly at the heart of the Empire, and the effects were catastrophic. Across the galaxy, the alien command struggled to reorganize, but chaos reigned. Without leadership, the remaining warships moved aimlessly, some colliding with each other, others falling into Earth's orbit and burning as they entered the atmosphere. Humanity watched from below, cautiously hopeful but aware that the enemy was far from gone. On the ground, the general oversaw operations with calm authority. "Do not celebrate yet," he warned. "They are retreating, yes, but they are wounded, not defeated. We must secure every advantage we have." Teams of soldiers and engineers were deployed to capture any alien ships that had crash-landed on Earth. These vessels were filled with advanced technology, energy cores, and weapons beyond human understanding. Engineers studied each fragment, carefully reverse engineering components to use against the Empire. Scientists were amazed by the possibilities. Alien power sources, propulsion systems, and communications arrays were adapted to human use, giving Earth an advantage it had never known before. Pilots trained on captured ships, learning how to operate alien controls, while drones were upgraded to match the speed and firepower of the Empire's technology. The aliens were not entirely defeated. Small pockets of their soldiers attempted guerrilla strikes on Earth's defenses, but without central command, their attacks were poorly coordinated and easily repelled. Humans had learned quickly from previous encounters. Anti-aircraft weapons, orbital cannons, and human-piloted starships intercepted every attempt at sabotage. The Empire's soldiers realized too late that their strength lay in numbers and organization. Without both, they were vulnerable. Meanwhile, the general addressed his team, eyes steady and voice calm. "We have won this battle, but not the war. Every alien ship we capture, every soldier we defeat, every piece of technology we study strengthens humanity. Today, we rise." Humanity had changed. Ordinary people had become heroes. Pilots who had once only flown simulators now commanded captured alien vessels in combat. Engineers who had studied machines in textbooks now modified alien weapons for Earth's defense. Soldiers who had defended cities now coordinated strikes across continents. The world had united like never before. Even civilians contributed, helping transport supplies, maintaining communications, and supporting the war effort in countless ways. Across Earth, cities rebuilt their defenses while still managing to protect the lives of those who had survived the Empire's attack. The human spirit was stronger than ever. The Empire, shocked and humiliated, retreated toward its own space, nursing its wounds and reassessing its strategy. The alien commander who had once spoken with arrogance now faced a reality he had never imagined. Humans had fought back, adapted, and struck at the heart of his forces. His arrogance had blinded him to the truth. Humans were not weak, predictable, or simple. They were resourceful, united, and relentless. Small groups of alien soldiers, once confident of victory, now surrendered. They were disoriented, their morale shattered by the losses and by the humans' ingenuity. Some attempted to escape, but human ships intercepted them, capturing technology and prisoners alike. Earth had turned the tide of the war. As captured alien technology was studied and adapted, humans gained the tools to further defend the planet and to prepare for future attacks. The general looked out over the command center. "Today, we have not only defended Earth," he said, "we have changed its future. The Empire will not conquer us, because we have learned how to fight, how to adapt, and how to win." Across the globe, people felt a new sense of pride. Humanity had survived impossible odds. Humans who had once feared the skies now looked upward with hope. Schools, hospitals, and cities began to rebuild, integrating the captured technology to improve life for everyone. The war was far from over, but the first major victory had inspired a generation. Humans were no longer victims of the Empire, they were conquerors of their own destiny. The Empire, for all its power, had underestimated the resilience and intelligence of a species it believed would bow without a fight. Its retreat marked a turning point. Humans had captured ships, weapons, and knowledge that would forever shift the balance of power in the galaxy. The general issued one final command for the moment. "Secure every ship, every weapon, every fragment of knowledge. Earth has survived its darkest hour, and now it rises stronger than ever." Across the planet, people cheered quietly or celebrated boldly, knowing that the threat had been diminished, but that vigilance was still required. Humanity had won a great victory, and the Empire would think twice before returning. The fall of the Empire's first invasion had shown one undeniable truth: humans, united and determined, could face even the most powerful foes in the galaxy and survive. They had risen from fear to courage, from defense to offense, and from uncertainty to power. The future of Earth had changed forever, and the first victory over the Empire was only the beginning. The battle for Earth had ended, but the world had changed forever. The Empire's forces had been defeated, their flagship destroyed, and their soldiers scattered across space. Humanity had survived what no one thought possible, and in the wake of victory, people began to rebuild. Cities that had been damaged by the war slowly rose from the rubble. Streets were repaired, homes rebuilt, and communities came together to help one another. The general walked through the command center, observing the new operations that had been set up to manage the captured alien technology. Engineers were working tirelessly, adapting power sources, energy weapons, and propulsion systems to human use. Scientists studied alien communication networks and propulsion methods, finding ways to advance human technology far beyond what had been possible before the invasion. Humanity was no longer just defending. They were learning, innovating, and preparing for the future. The general addressed his team, his voice calm but filled with authority. "The Empire may return," he said, "but we are no longer the same species they faced before. Earth has risen. We are united, stronger, and smarter. And we will protect our world at all costs." Across the globe, nations that had once been divided now worked together. Global councils coordinated reconstruction, defense, and research. Ordinary citizens contributed to rebuilding efforts while preparing for any future threat. Farmers, engineers, doctors, teachers, and students all played a role in strengthening the planet. People no longer feared the skies. They looked upward with pride and determination. Humanity had proven that even against a galactic empire, they could survive and thrive. In orbit, human-built starships patrolled the skies. Pilots trained continuously, ready to defend Earth at a moment's notice. The captured alien technology allowed humans to construct faster, stronger, and more advanced ships than ever before. Drones monitored space for any signs of returning enemy forces, while orbital weapon systems stood ready to strike if needed. On the ground, cities were equipped with defensive energy shields, making them nearly impervious to attack. Humanity had learned from the war and had adapted to a new era where vigilance and readiness were essential. But despite the constant preparation, there was celebration. Humanity had risen from fear to victory. Streets filled with people cheering for those who had fought in the skies and on the ground. Children waved flags, pilots and soldiers received honors, and families embraced, grateful to have survived the unimaginable. Stories of heroism spread from city to city. Ordinary people who had saved lives, engineers who had modified alien weapons, and pilots who had risked everything became legends. Their courage inspired a new generation that would grow up knowing that humanity could overcome even the deadliest threats. The general watched the celebrations with a quiet pride. He knew that humanity's victory had not come from weapons alone but from courage, intelligence, and unity. "They came to conquer us," he said softly, "but they awakened something far greater. They awakened humanity." Across Earth, communication networks carried messages of unity and hope. Nations signed agreements to share technology and knowledge, ensuring that no one country would dominate while the planet prepared for the future. Schools incorporated lessons learned from the war, teaching children about strategy, science, and cooperation. Humanity was becoming stronger, wiser, and more connected than ever before. In space, humans continued to explore. The captured alien ships allowed them to travel farther and faster than before. Humans mapped distant stars, studied unknown planets, and prepared for the possibility that the Empire, or other threats, might return. But Earth was ready. Humanity had faced the impossible, and had not only survived but had grown stronger because of it. The general gave a final address to the global command network. "We have risen from fear to victory. We have united against a common enemy and shown that humans are not weak. The future belongs to those who are prepared, and Earth will never be unprepared again. Humanity will rise, and we will face whatever comes with courage and unity." The message spread across the globe, inspiring hope, pride, and determination. Humanity had learned to work together, to fight together, and to protect what was theirs. From the ashes of destruction, a new era began. Earth was no longer just a planet struggling for survival. It was a beacon of strength, unity, and intelligence in the galaxy. Humans had risen, not just to defend their home, but to claim their place among the stars. The people of Earth looked to the night sky with renewed purpose. No longer were they helpless. No longer were they afraid. The Empire had underestimated them, and humanity had proven that courage, unity, and intelligence could overcome any threat. And so, from the ruins of war, a new chapter began. Humanity had survived the Empire's might, captured their technology, and learned to rise stronger than ever. The future was theirs to shape. And as the stars shone brightly above, humans knew one undeniable truth: they were no longer mere inhabitants of a small blue planet. They were warriors, survivors, and conquerors in a galaxy that would never forget the rise of humanity.